Okay, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to my channel. Um, I got started a little late, but I'm gonna get right to it. I'm gonna talk about the week three. I'm gonna give a week three recap of my NFL picks in a very forgettable week of picks. I'm gonna have to do better next week. Um, and then I'm gonna put my 2 cents in on the Kaepernick Nike um, ad in the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Want to give my views and put my 2 cents in on it. So, let's see. Picks. Woo, week three was a very forgettable week for me. I went 5-10, uh, 5-10, and don't forget I deferred on the Cleveland game. I would have been 6-11 because I picked them, but I didn't go live before the Thursday night game, so I deferred on it. So I went 5-10 for the week, and then the Cowboys. Well, I'll go more into in depth on the Cowboys on Thursday when I do my week four picks show and Cowboy Talk show. Cowboy Talk and week four picks on Thursday. But all I can say is Seattle is one of the few teams left that really have a home field advantage. And no matter how bad they're playing, um, their home field advantage is still in effect. Unlike a lot of other teams, you can go to, let's say, Dallas or Washington or um, other teams, Cleveland, whatever, and get a victory on any given Sunday. But that don't necessarily work. Seattle is like they got like the best home field advantage, so it was going to be a tough game. They didn't jump out on them. They didn't play well, so uh, they lost. So I'll go more into that on the Cowboys on Thursday and what they need to do to be 500 at the quarter pole of the season. Um, so I'll go into more into that on that. What they need to do to be successful to get a home victory at at home against Detroit and be 4-2 at the quarter way of the season. And that's coming up Thursday. So right now, I want to dive into put my 2 cents into um, Colin Kaepernick, the anthem, so forth and so on. Now the Nike ad and everything else. But before we go forward, we got to reset the conversation. I'm going to reset the conversation because you have those with political agendas, um, very toxic, very divisive individuals with a political agenda just come hijack this topic and just made it worse and made it all that is not. So we let's do a reset on this issue. How do you do a reset? I'm going to quote him in his own words. Colin Kaepernick. This is his quote. Quote, I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder. That was his original quote as to why he um, was first setting down for the national anthem. He was setting down. He had um, Nate Boyer or Green Beret um, that was trying out for football. He talked to him. Nate Boyer don't have nothing to do with the movement. He don't have anything to do with the movement. He just reached a negotiation, and he felt, in his view, and that's important because he's a Green Beret. He have a view, and I'm gonna speak on that. He have a view, and his compromise to Kaepernick was don't sit down while the national anthem. At least kneel. Kaepernick was sitting during the national anthem, but because of Nate Boyer, it was a compromise that he started kneeling. Okay, so I just read the quote. Nowhere in this quote did Colin Kaepernick say, "I don't respect the American flag. I don't respect the military. I don't respect law enforcement. I don't respect the USA." I don't see that in here. But for divisive, toxic individual own benefit to blow this up, that was added. I'm reading the direct quote. I'm going to read it again. This is the direct quote. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder. Those are his quotes. I'm not going to add nothing to his quotes. Okay. Just like I'm saying that people adding stuff to this to blow it up and make it a political issue. I'm around about that time. Do your own history. Do your own research. Around about that time when he was speaking on this was the time where around about that time where President Obama, Department of Justice under Eric Holder, they was putting out a lot of reports around that time. I'm not gonna speculate what he was speaking to. I'm just speculating that me as an informed citizen, what was going on around 2016, and a lot of those reports was coming out. You know, you had a report on Ferguson, Missouri, that came out in 2015. Then you had the reports on Baltimore and Chicago, DOJ reports, and the reports said what they said. So that could have been what he meant by oppress. Those reports say what they said. You can look up DOJ reports, Google DOJ reports, and read them for yourself. So that could be what he was speaking to, but I'm not gonna put words in his mouth, and just like I'm saying that other folks are adding words to his quote. Nowhere in this quote did I see I don't respect the flag. I don't respect the military. I don't respect the USA. I don't respect law enforcement. Nowhere in his direct quote did he say that. Okay, so let's go here for a minute, because you got folks on both sides, because and that's a beautiful thing. You got two sides of every argument or every issue, and that's a beautiful that's the democratic system of the United States of America at work. What kind of country would we be if everybody believed in the same thing? So that's good. So whether you for him or against him, that's good debate. But the reason why I reset this issue is because do not add or put words in his mouth or add to his quote on stuff that he did not say to blow it up and have a divisive, toxic issue. Okay, so let's go here. Lately, well, if you read around on the internet and watch the news, you see stuff like well, first of all, let's go with Nike. Okay, Nike is a big America multinational company. Okay, the American multinational company, Nike. So they doing a ad campaign, and they decided they want Colin Kaepernick, and everybody is just going crazy. Well, one half of the people on the other side of the issue is going crazy. They want to use Colin Kaepernick for their ad campaign. Okay, so they're American multinational company. They free to hire people who they want to hire to promote their products, to do an ad. I seen the ad. I mean, it was a very, very positive ad. In my view, it was very positive. I mean, the known people that was on there, Serena and LeBron. Oh, what's my buddy name? I forgot his name. The skater, the skateboarder. Ah, it'll come to me. But his story, he have a great story. But then it highlighted people with no legs wrestling. That's inspirational. And then Griffin for the Seattle Seahawks. I think it's Shaquem or Shaquan Griffin. He made an NFL roster. He had a special team hit on my Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. He blew somebody up with a big hit, and he in the NFL with one arm. So it was a very positive campaign, and they had him in it. Colin Kaepernick. He was the narrator, and basically he say he lost everything, which he did. Stand up for what he believed. He lost everything. I mean, come on, Colin Kaepernick last year when he wasn't able to get no work, he was he. I'm looking at some stats. Last year, the last season that he played, he only started 11 games. He started 11 games. He threw for 2,241 yards, uh, 16 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's a crazy touchdown to interception ratio. Then he ran for another 468 yards and 2 touchdowns. So his last year that he played in NFL, and he only started 11 games. Then once you come in after not starting, you got to shake the rust off or whatever before you get going. So he had a good year. He had a good year. So, but because of this, nobody wouldn't hire him. Now, the NFL has changed this year, but you're not going to tell me, well, this year, the NFL, they have their established quarterbacks, um, like your Rivers, Philip Rivers, and Rothenberg, and Drew Brees. You know, they near towards they a few years away from the end of their career. Then you got your mid level folks like Russell Wilson and um, Dolphins quarterback Tannehill and folks like that. Then it's the quarterback position being infused with a lot of young people that these organizations want to find out, what they got. So this year, Colin Kaepernick, he could have still easily got a job because you're not going to tell me that most teams are carrying two quarterbacks. Most teams, some are carrying three, like the Ravens, but most teams are carrying two quarterbacks. You're not going to tell me every team starter and then every team backup is better than that man, Colin Kaepernick. You're not going to tell me that. So, and then the last season, in 2017, when he couldn't get no job and he filed his grievance, he was probably coming off these stats the previous season. He probably was I say the 15th to 20th best quarterback in the NFL, somewhere in there, 15 to 20th. Like the Cowboys had Dak, they weren't gonna bench him. Some teams had their future seeing Carson Wentz. But thinking back to the 2017 season, it was a lot of teams that was at disarray at quarterback that could have brought him in. So, like the Nike commercial said, he did lose everything. He lost everything for standing up what he believed in. So, whether you like him or don't like him, whether you agree with or don't agree with, just know that just not don't agree with him. Excuse me. Disagree with him because of the facts and the facts. Don't make up stuff like he don't love the flag, he don't love his country, he don't respect the police, he don't respect the military. Don't make your decision off of that because that is a fake, phony, made up argument injected into the public by divisive, toxic figures that love this infighting. So just say, I don't like him or I don't particularly care for him because he kneeled for the flag. He kneeled during the national anthem. That's fair. You don't care for him because he kneeled for the flag, but don't throw in all the other stuff. He don't respect the military. No, direct quote is online. Read it yourself. He did not say that. So Nike, this multinational corporation, they hired him. They wanted them. They hired him. Okay. Despite how some folks feel about him, he's a graduate. He graduated from college, the University of Nevada. Okay. He was drafted into the NFL. His career was over after he took a stand for what he said in his quote. He didn't want to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppressed black people. That's his view. You can't fault him for that if that's the way he feels. And we not here to personally debate. I'm not here personally to debate if that's right or wrong. Okay, but just know that just like the Green Beret, Nate Boyer, he didn't have no problem with him. He had a problem with him sitting, but he had a problem with kneeling. It's veterans all over the country. So some veterans don't care. They agree with him. They saying that's what they serve for people who have the right to stand up for what they believe in. And some veterans are against it. I mean, that's American democracy at work. So he's a graduate from Nevada. Okay, while in the NFL, he never been suspended. Okay, no domestic abuse, no marijuana, no weed, no performance enhancing drugs and stuff like that. He never been suspended. Okay, never been arrested. He a college graduate. So why do folks feel that because he kneeled, his life should be over? His life should be over. Some people feel because he kneeled for the national anthem, his life should be over. That's crazy. That's crazy. You have criminals coming out of jail that have been convicted and served time for all types of charges that gets a second chance. Okay? This guy never been arrested, a college graduate, successful, large American multinational company wanted to give him a second chance, and people freak out. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand. But just don't make his view. Just don't change his quote because you want to have a political argument. Okay, because the quote is real. Okay, and then since that time, okay, you got to and answer this. People burning clothes and shoes. Okay, you can do what you want to do. You have your rights. Everybody had their rights. I guess that's under the First Amendment, free speech. We have our rights. We can do what we want to do. Okay. But don't you, in your communities, you folks that's burning stuff, don't you have Salvation Armies or Goodwills or people that you know that's less fortunate that you can donate the stuff to instead of burning it? Do you know the Goodwill and the Salvation Army, off their donations that they get, and they uh, put the stuff in the stores and sell it? That create training, job training, and it creates jobs. Don't you know that? Why are you burning stuff? You burning stuff because somebody stood up for what they believe and you don't like it. You burning stuff because a company gave a college graduate and a person that never been arrested a job, a ad campaign, and you burning stuff. Think about that. Donate that stuff to someone less fortunate, or give it to the Goodwill or the Salvation Army and let it create job training and jobs, or give it to a homeless shelter if you have any empathy. Give it to a homeless man who's walking around with holes in his shoes. Excuse me. I think the family's coming home. I didn't want them busting on my on my podcast. Anyway, um, so why are we burning shoes? And then you got all these stories. Check them out. They're on the internet, hating everywhere. Mississippi State Police won't be able to purchase any Nike apparel or products. As commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, I will not support vendors who do not support law enforcement and our military. Mr. Marshall Fisher, that's Mississippi State Police. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I reset the argument. That's why I gave it a reset. Will not be able to support vendors who don't support law enforcement or our country. So Nike don't support law enforcement or our country because they let Colin Kaepernick do an ad. But I read his quote, and nowhere in there did he say what? I don't respect law enforcement or the military. So see, he's using the divisive, toxic talking points that was created, and he's all wrong. Then you got a town up in Rhode Island. Rhode Island town, city council, they boycotted Nike. But then they received a lot of pressure and they overturned the boycott. Then you look at Marshall County, Mississippi, some sheriff. So if the sheriff acting like this, he said if Osama bin Laden have a brother and he had a picture of Colin Kaepernick next to Osama bin Laden with his head wrapped up. So if the sheriff, elected official, is acting this irresponsible, how you think his deputies are acting? I'd like to hear from some citizens of Marshall County, Mississippi, and find out are they feeling oppressed? I would like to know if they feeling oppressed. You got a sheriff irresponsibly speaking it out like this, elected official. Bin Laden here and Kaepernick next to him. He put that on Facebook. The sheriff of Marshall County, Mississippi. Okay, so you got the Rhode Island story, the Mississippi State Police story. The vendors, they won't be able to don't want to support a vendor that don't support law enforcement. And then you got this person. But for every one of them stories, you have one of these stories. Fox Business. Nike numbers of sold out products spiked after Kaepernick ad. So for every one of them negative stories, you have a story like this. New York Post, 61% more merchandise than Nike has sold, 61% more merchandise since the ad. Okay. Nike trading at an all-time high. And this one, I just read this one from 48 hours ago. Or was it 48 minutes ago at the time I seen it? Nike made $6 billion since that Kaepernick ad. I'm sorry, we're messing up the man's name. Colin. After the Colin ad, Nike done made $6 billion. So for every shoe burner and city council boycotting Nike for no reason, and for every Mississippi sheriff saying if bin Laden had a son, and Mississippi State Police say they're not gonna purchase Nike apparel or products, Department of Public Safety will not support vendors who don't support law enforcement and military, even though that's not Kaepernick direct quote. For every one of those stories, you got Nike that made $6 billion since the ad, trading at an all-time high, 61% more merchandise sold since the ad, and the number of sold out products spiked after the ad. So I'd rather be on the right side of this. So if I bottom line this, reset. If I bottom line this reset, the point I'm trying to make is in just about all areas, you got folks, a side of folks that's for something and against something. You name issue, any issue. You name issue. It's people for having universal health care in America. It's people against it. You got people for um, um, gay marriage and love and marrying and being with the people you love. You got people against it. The most bigger one, the biggest one, you got people for abortion and you got people against it. So the point that I'm trying to make is when you folks, and you know who you are, when you trying to tear somebody down, okay, tear them down with the facts. Do not create phony talking points, phony arguments, adding words, taking words away from people direct quotes just to have a story. Because once again, I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, that is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder. That was his quote. You can like it or not like it, but that was his quote. And where are we at now? The state police, this is where we at now. That's what he said, and this is where we at now. State police, they're not gonna purchase any apparel from Nike. Will not support vendors who don't support law enforcement in our country, in our military. That's where we are. So no matter who you are, do not let folks change your quotes, your argument. You got to have a message. You have to have a message. Do not let folks change your message to make it what they want it to be so you can have a phony debate and a phony argument. Okay? Nike hired a man that never been arrested and a college graduate. And you would think in this United States of America, that's a positive thing. But some people want his life to be over because he kneeled. And that's just not right. So thank you. If you come along and watch this video later, I would say thank you. Thank you for your time, the privilege of your time. And I'll be back Thursday with my week 4 picks and Cowboys talk. Thank you.